Here. Hi everyone, Pastor Chris here, and hopefully this is one of the last times you see me in front of the fireplace giving you a message being delivered by way of video, because we're excited to say that we finally get to meet together again. And we're really excited about that. We're looking forward to it, but there's a lot of little rules that we really want to talk about and make sure that you know about prior to coming. And it's really important for us to be extra clear. These rules are about, our goal is to create an environment where we can safely gather together and where we can follow all the rules that the governor has laid down for us. And it's really important for you to understand that these are not making any kind of a political statement, or we're not making any statements about viruses or anything like that. What we're trying to do is stay in compliance with what the governor's rules are. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One is to keep you safe because it's a safety belt issue, right? It's like put it on your safety belt. But in addition to that, it also protects the finances of the church, because if we're found to be out of compliance with the rules that the governor has established, then our insurance won't cover us. So if we're out of compliance, that can be really bad for us. And in addition, we're also we're being hosted as a church by Harbor Life, and so our compliance with these rules also impacts them. So we want to do above and beyond anything that's required of us to make sure that we're staying within all of the guidelines and the rules and doing our best to keep not only you safe, but the other people that use the facility, any guests that might come in, that we're following all the right practices. So I just thought I'd make a little video and share with you what those are going to be. If you have any questions or want to discuss it with me, feel free to give me a call or write me an email, and we can talk about it and make sure that everybody's all on the same page. First, you'll notice in the email where I've sent you this link, there is a link to the governor's rules. You can take a look at those for yourself. Also, if you are personally at high risk, then we would ask you to please wait to come to church until we're further along in the phases, in phase 3 or even in phase 4. And understand that there are some activities in church like singing, like speaking and preaching, that inherently carry a higher risk than some other activities like standing in line at a Costco. And so we want to make sure that you understand that, and we're not suggesting that this is 100% completely safe environment. What we're saying is that these are the rules that are allowing us to open up. So if you're at high risk, it's probably not time for you to come back to church yet. But I would like to let you know that we are going to continue streaming our church services, and we'll look forward to being in community with you at the same time that we're in the church service. Everybody that comes to church and is at church has to wear a mask. We all have to be wearing masks. We have to wear masks while we're singing. We have to wear masks while we're preaching. Anytime we're in the building or on the premises, we need to have a mask on. That applies to all people that are school age and above. And preschoolers, we kind of understand that it would just pretty much be impossible for them to wear a mask. We would encourage you to wear a mask over your nose and mouth. Neck masks don't actually protect anything. Masks where your nose hangs out doesn't actually protect anything. Taking your mask off to talk pretty much doesn't protect anything. So wear your mask while we're together. And if you, for some reason, forget a mask, we're going to have a few masks that are going to be available at the door. Or if somebody as a guest comes and comes there, they can pick up a mask there. If for some other reason, if you have a medical condition that doesn't allow you to wear a mask or something like that, then obviously you wouldn't have to wear one. But if for some other reason you don't think you should be wearing a mask, then we would just encourage you to utilize our online church services, because when we all come together, we're going to all be wearing masks. All right, that's the governor's requirement. The doors of the church are going to be left open during the arrival and departure from church, so that door handles don't become a point source of infection, and we're going to wipe those off often. Social distancing while we're at church, 6 feet apart from all of your neighbors, and that's going to be observed while you're in the building, out of the building. We're going to try and do our best to keep our social distancing. Children have to stay with their parents at all times. This is really difficult for us because as a church with lots of little kids, they want to run around and be with their buddies and be with their cousins and all of this kind of thing. And while we really understand that, and the culture of our church has been kids running around, for now, we need to change that culture. And kids need to stay with parents, and that includes during the worship service, during the sermon time. And so some ideas that are floating around about how to do that. Some people are just going to bring a stroller and keep their little ones in the stroller. Others are going to bring those little fences, those little gate things, and create a little area for their kiddos to be. But that really will help with the social distancing. But in another thing, it's very practical because whatever we touch, we need to decontaminate, because the very next day, Harbor Life is going to be using it. So that means that kids can't go back into the play areas in the back. They can't go into the nursery or any of those kinds of areas. We'd like to just keep all of those things off limits and out of bounds, so that we don't have to go through and try and clean all of those things. And so they'll be taped up, there'll be signs, and doors will be closed so that you don't, so that kids aren't back there. So please keep your kids right with you. And obviously children's church and nursery will not be available at church. We are providing, obviously, access to the bathrooms. However, the bathrooms can only have 2 individuals at a time in there. And if you're waiting in line for the bathroom, the doors will be open. Not the doors to the bathroom, but the doors to the hallway will be open. If you're waiting in line, make sure you establish good social distancing while you're waiting for the line. Let's see. We ask that you would take your temperature before you come to church, and make sure nobody's running a fever before we come to church. And anybody who's been either diagnosed with COVID or has symptoms of COVID, including a fever, are not allowed to come. If you're sick, don't come to church. Please don't come to church. If you're wondering if you're sick, don't come to church. We just need to be extra cautious about that. Water fountains will be closed. They will not be accessible or not usable. We'll put some water bottles out on the tables, on a table, and so you could pick that up if you need a drink of water, or if the little ones need a drink of water. Be even better if you brought your own. We'll be wearing gloves when we put them out there, so they'll stay relatively germ-free, but be even better if you brought your own water bottles and that kind of thing. But just understand the water fountains will be closed. Once church is over, you're going to be dismissed by sections, so that we don't create a bottleneck. Visiting and all of that kind of thing will need to take place outside of the church. That way our decontamination process is a lot shorter. And because of that also, I am going to be including in my email, I'm going to be asking for volunteers who would like to help decontaminate as we put things away and close down and then wash all the surfaces that we potentially touched. So if you are interested in doing that, then please contact me. You need to wear a mask and gloves, and we'll be using cleaning supplies. And so if you're available to help, that would be awesome. And so just to give you a picture, this is what it's going to look like when you come to church, because we just really need to check our expectations and make sure that we understand kind of how it's going to feel, because it's going to feel a little bit different. You're going to come to church and the doors are going to be wide open, and you're going to come in. And what we're going to do is, when you come in, there will be somebody there to help you, and they will set up the number of chairs that your particular family needs, making sure that those chairs are 6 feet away from all other chairs. We thought about trying to pre-position some chairs, and we'll probably do some of that. But for the most part, we're going to do it as people come in. That also means that if you come to church like late and wandering late, that it might be a disruption to all the rest of the people, because we'll have to be organizing chairs. So really encourage you to be Johnny on the spot this week when it comes to coming to church. Then we'll have church with everybody staying in their chairs and staying in their area. And we'll go through the worship service and then the sermon. And then after church, you'll be dismissed by groups to head out. So we don't create a bottleneck at the doors, and then people can either fellowship outside or catch up with each other at another time. So that's kind of what church looks like here in phase 2. A little bit different from what we're used to, and really ask for your grace and your patience as we kind of walk through it. I'm sure there's going to be things we learn from doing it the first week, so that we adjust some things for the next weeks coming ahead. But just keep in mind, we're doing our best to try and stay in compliance with governor's rules, doing our best to try and keep everybody safe, both our congregation and Harbor Life's congregation, any guests that might come, and staying in compliance for our insurance and those kinds of things. So understand that's where our heart is as a leadership team, and we're really excited and looking forward to coming back together and worshiping together. So we hope to see you on Saturday. God bless.